Hello friends, welcome to Civilspedia Current Affairs Digital Library. So today we are going to see 4 topics. So 3 on prelims and 1 on mains. So prelims topics: Blue Tribes of Mizoram, Rafale fighter jet, NASA's icesat 2. And in mains perspective, it is an editorial: farming in a warming world. So these are today's topic. Now let's start our first prelims topic: Blue Tribes of Mizoram. So before going to the topic, let's know who are these Blue Tribes. So Blue Tribes were once upon a time the major tribes of Mizoram. They are the second most populous tribes in Mizoram. But there were a communal tension in Mizoram in the year 1995. Okay, so in the year 1995, there was a communal tension between the Mizo tribes of Mizoram and Blue tribes of Mizoram. Okay, that came to a climax in the year 1997. Okay, that came to a climax in 1997. That led to the exodus of this Blue tribes from Mizoram to Tripura. So this is their historical news. Okay, now let's see what is there in news. So after 21 years of this issue, these Blue tribes had came back to Mizoram to cast their vote in assembly polls in the day November 28 this year. Okay, so this is the news. So we must know who are these Blue tribes and their characters. So first, so Blue tribes are also known as Riang tribes. Okay, they were known to be Blue tribes, but because of an accidental name of Riang in a census, they were also called as Riang tribes. So they are the second most populous tribes in Tripura. Now they are in Tripura after Tripuri. Okay, so Tripura is the most populous tribes in Tripura. Okay, apart from Tripura, they are also present in Mizoram, Assam, Manipur, and even in Bangladesh. Okay, so regarding their language, so they have their origin from Tibeto-Burmese language, and their dialect is Riang dialect. Okay, so they have Riang dialect. Their language is known as Kokborok, which is locally known as Kaubru language. Okay, then about their religion. So most of these tribes are polytheists. That means they worship so many gods. They have their own traditional god and goddesses, and they perform sacrifices, and they claim themselves to be Vaishnavites, and they are Kshatriyas. And recently, so many people have converted to Christianity. So nearly 20% of the people of Blue tribes are Christians now. And regarding their cultivation, they still perform the primitive type of slash and burn cultivation, which is locally termed as Zoom cultivation. Okay, and their marriage system is similar to these Tripuri, and they don't have any dowry system in them. And regarding their famous dance, it is Hosagiri dance, which is a world famous dance. It is a folk dance of Tripura, where these Riang tribes perform using the earthen pots, earthen pitchers, balancing them and doing dances. And their famous festival is Buisu festival. Please don't confuse with Bihu festival of Assam. So these are their basic informations regarding Blue tribes of Mizoram. So hence, we have seen the tribes of Mizoram and Tripura. We need to know some of the other tribes who are present in Mizoram. I have given the list, and also tribes of Tripura. So these are the famous tribes of Tripura, and they are famous tribes of Mizoram. So with this, we are moving to our next topic: Rafale fighter jet. So we must know the historical background. Okay, in UPA government, okay, so UPA government was decided to buy Rafale fighter jet, nearly 126 jets from Dassault Aviation, a French company. But due to the financial constraints and fiscal deficit at that time, the UPA government has postponed the buying of this Rafale fighter jet. But in the year 2016, the NDA government has signed a deal to directly buy 36 Rafale jets, okay, worth 7.87 billion euros. Okay, so this was the new historical news of this Rafale jet. So why it is presently in news? Okay, nearly in the recent time, Supreme Court has cleared a case of commercial favoritism or crony capitalism that says there is no case of commercial favoritism in this Rafale deal, in which the offset partner is Reliance. Okay, so what is this offset partner? So it is a term like the importing company, the importing country does not act as a client or a buyer. Rather, it acts as a partner. It participates in the manufacturing of those fighter jets, and also it gets transfer of technology. With this, the importing country can get employment, transfer of technology, as well as some of the money get back into the country again. So this is the basic of offset partnership. So what they had said is, according to Defense Procurement Procedure of 2013, the original manufacturer, equipment manufacturer, can choose any of the Indian offset partner. The government has no rule in selecting any offset partners. So this was the news. Now we need to know some of the backgrounds and his features of this deal. Okay, so here we have already seen the background. Now we'll move on to our features. So what are the features? First, it is actually a 4th generation aircraft. Okay, first of aircraft to buy after Sukhois. Okay, after Sukhois, which was brought from Russia in 90s, it is the second aircraft deal. Okay, and it has a twin engine system and has a multi-combat role. Okay, then it has an omni-role capability, which means it can act as air-to-air missile, it can use air-to-ground missile, it can also act as an interceptor, it can also act as a combat missile or a self-defense missile. So it has so many functions, and it has a buddy-buddy refueling system, which means the fuels can be filled in airspace, either from a tanker aircraft which is dedicated for that particular aircraft, or an enemy aircraft which is becoming vulnerable. So hence it does not want to come to ground to refuel its fuels. Okay, and it also has onboard oxygen generation system, which means it has its own liquid oxygen generating system, so that it doesn't want to get into the ground for oxygen refueling, or it doesn't need a ground support system. Okay, then it also has a nuclear deterrent capability. So these are the basic features of this Rafale fighter jet. Okay, then now we see what are all the India specific enhancements made in this Rafale fighter jet. First, it has a helmet mounted sight and also a targeting system. This makes the pilot to strike off the weapon in a swift mode. Okay, then it also has a capacity called taking off from higher altitudes. Like example, Leh, it has a cold start mechanism. The cold start mechanism is nothing but the starting of engines or a machine in an ambient temperature, that is known as cold start. Then it also has radio warning receiver and tow decoy system. So tow decoy system has two components. So one is radar jammer. Okay, another one is what say signal repeater. Okay, signal repeater lures the incoming missile away from the target. So these are the basic enhancements made in the Indian model of Rafale jet. And the French government also gives 50 years of industrial support to this Rafale jet. Okay, then now we see what are the equipments attached to this Rafale fighter jet. So first one is active electronically scanned array radar. Okay, we have ASA radar and MICA. So MICA is nothing but air-to-air missile. Okay, air-to-air missile. It has both visual range as well as beyond visual range effects. Okay, and it uses IR rays and electromagnetic rays. So IR rays is a heat-seeking rays and radiation, and EM is the radar homing radiation. Okay, radar homing radiation. Okay, then hammer. So hammer is highly agile and maneuverable munition extended range. Okay, I repeat, high agility and maneuverable munition extended range. Okay, this is an air to ground missile. Okay, it is an air to ground missile. It also uses IR and laser. Okay, it uses IR and laser. Then scalp. So scalp is a long range standoff missile. Okay, long range standoff missile. And AM-39 Exocet, it is an anti-ship missile. Okay, it is an anti-ship missile. And Nexter 30 M791, it is a cannon which shoots at least 2500 rounds per second. Okay, so these are the basic thing. And now the new addition to this is Meteor long range air-to-air missile. So these are the equipments fitted to Rafale fighter jet. Then now see, we'll compare with Sukhoi 30. So Sukhoi 30 is a current best fighter jet we have. So, but Rafale is 1.5 times more efficient than Sukhoi, and it has higher range than Sukhoi. Then it can conduct 5 sorties per day. Sorties is nothing but a trip to the enemy land. Okay, so this Rafale can have a 5 trips to the enemy land, whereas Sukhoi can have only 3 trips per day. Okay, so this is the basic comparison between Sukhoi and Rafale. Okay, then we also see some of the negative things regarding Rafale. The one thing is it doesn't have an updated stealth system. Okay, its stealth system is outdated, and it doesn't have STOVL facility, which means short takeoff and vertical landing. So these are the major drawbacks of this Rafale deal, and it also doesn't have a corrected ASA scanner and head-up display. Okay, so that's why Brazil had withdrew from Rafale deal initially. And why we have selected Rafale? Just because it is the lowest bidder. But when we compare the cost of these spare parts and its maintenance cost, actually it is more expensive. So these are the basic negatives regarding this Rafale fighter jet. Okay, so with this we'll move on to our next prelims topic, NASA icesat 2. Okay, so why it is in news? This icesat 2 is also known as the Cloud and Land Elevation Satellite. So in this we can understand it measures ice and measures clouds and measures the land elevation. So all the elevations can be measured by this satellite. So this was actually launched by NASA in September 2018. It measures the elevation of ice caps to a precision of 2 centimeter. Okay, it has a highest precision technique, and it is considered to be one of the most powerful Earth observation satellite that is now orbiting and collecting data from the Earth. Okay, now let's see what is the key focus area. So key focus area are frozen zones of world. Okay, frozen zones of world, which is known as cryosphere. So the major focus of icesat is cryosphere, but still it also focuses on other areas of the planet. Okay, it measures the steepness of the mountain. It is more steeper than 45 degrees, and it can even measure the depth of ice ridges more than 65 feet. Okay, so these are the basic measurement thing. Now let's see what is the equipment carried by this icesat. So it has a single equipment which is called as Advanced Topographic Laser Altimeter System, which is also known as ATLAS. So how does this work? Okay, it works on a photon conducting mechanism. That means it can spread out nearly 10,000 laser pulses per second. Okay, per second it can send out 10,000 laser pulses, which is split into 6 beams. Okay, which is split into 6 beams that gets into the earth, and it hits the earth and bounces back. Okay, but some of the beams will be diffracted away, but some beams touches the satellite. With that, the time travel by the beam to travel to the earth and bounces back measures the elevation of the earth's surface. So this is the working mechanism of this icesat 2. Okay, now let's see what is the uses. So we can see the elevations. We can measure the elevations of land, rivers, lakes, forests, even sea floor depth can be measured by this satellite. And it can even distinguish the thin ice from thick ice and also from ice ridges. So these are the basic uses, and it can provide more detail about Antarctica. So we can fill more details in our older maps. Okay, then it can even see the elevation changes in these recent times due to climate change or any other problems. So it can improve sea ice temperature and climate forecast. Okay, then it can also measure other areas of earth like temperate zone, tropical zone. It can also measure ocean waves and tree canopies of forests. So these are the basic uses of NASA's icesat 2. Now we see the previous version of this NASA icesat. So icesat, which was traveled around the year 2003 to 2009. So it was specifically for covering this Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets, and it also covered nearly the mass balances of the ices, the clouds, and aerosol content in those areas. So this is the previous version of icesat 2. Okay. Now with this we are moving to our main topic, farming in a warming world. It is an editorial perspective. Okay, so what is this editorial? So in a sixth assessment report. Okay, in sixth assessment report of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, a dedicated UN body for combating climate change has submitted a report termed the global warming at 1.5 degree Celsius. Okay, so according to the report, this pervasiveness of this climatic aberration has already led to many socio-economic vulnerabilities. Hence, we must strengthen and enhance our already existing capacity and also strictly commit to a Paris Climate Agreement. So, this is the report which is based about this farming in a warming world. So, what are all the other study it has made? So, first, so key facts. So, world has already become 1 degree Celsius warmer. So, even with this temperature rise, the extremities and frequencies of these extremities are too much, and that had led to obstruction of normal functioning of ecosystem. Okay, already the ecosystem was become imbalanced. Now, with this 1.5 degrees Celsius, there will be a far greater frequency of extremes, but it is lesser than 2 degrees Celsius, which will lead to a catastrophic situation. Okay, so this is what they had said. But all these projections depend on the particular locality. It is based on region wise and their level of development in those regions. But wherever be the situation, the most vulnerable community in those places are the indigenous and local communities who depend on agriculture and coastal areas. So, they are the most vulnerable people in every areas of the globe. Now, they have even projected for India. So, what is the projection in India? So, India has a diverse climatic settings, like it have temperate settings, also it has tropical settings, subtropical settings. But the problem here is all the agricultural land are holded by small and marginal farmers. Okay, so they have a little less of land holdings, but all the lands, most of the lands depend on monsoons. Okay, so this is the major issue in Indian agriculture. But the problem here is in the past 4 years, the rainfall was very less to the normal rainfall year. Even 2014 and 15 was considered to be a drought years. Okay, added to this, our recent monsoon has recorded a rainfall deficit of 9%, that is closer to a drought year. Okay, it was very short of drought year. Now, another issue is this heat waves issue. We can see so many deaths due to heat waves. It also affects the production of crops, aquaculture and livestock. And according to economic survey, they had said that the farming income loss has ranged between 15 to 18%. But if there is no policy interventions of government, it can even rise up to 20 to 25%. So these are the projections in India. Now, what are all the way forward they have suggested? One is climate adaptation, both in micro level as well as macro level decision making process. So micro level includes people. They have their age-old practices, they have their own religious practices. But the macro level projections are like extension programs, technology development programs. Hence, this micro level knowledge of people must be inducted into the policy making process. So that will make our agriculture climate resilient. And we also need an agronomic management practices, which means intercropping, multi-cropping and crop rotation. So these are the agronomic management practices that helps from climate imbalances. Then we also have to have non-farm activities like aquacultures, then animal husbandry and also apicultures. Like that we have to shift from non-farming activities and upscaling our techniques like using solar pumps, drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation. This will also help. Then according to National Sample Survey in its 70th report, it has suggested that insurance awareness among the farmers are very less. Hence, the Krishi Vignan Kendras and other farmer supporting organizations must reorient themselves to promote awareness about crop insurance to the farmers. And we also need to know this agriculture and rural development schemes are interlinked. Okay, according to economic survey, what they have suggested is all these agriculture schemes and rural development schemes must be interlinked so that the farmers will get more benefit. Okay, then what they have said it, most of the government documents talks about the consequences of the climate change, but none of the government documents has shown any adaptation plan or conservation program. Hence, the government must focus on adaptation planning as well as this resource conservation programs. So, this will help to identify the issues as well as help to remove those issues. So, these are the way forward suggested by the report. And now, let's see what are all the political interventions made in India to combat this climate change. One, interventions like extension facilities, that is giving schemes and increasing the irrigation efficiencies, then satellite-enabled agriculture, micro-level agro-advisories, customized real-time data. So these are some of the interventions already made by government. So what are the schemes introduced for that? So one is Krishi Sinchai Yojana, which is for minor irrigation, drip irrigations, everything for that. Then Fasal Bima Yojana for crop insurance, and soil health card is soil based nutrients to the agricultural land. Then Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana is for organic farming. Then National Agriculture Market, a single market for all the agricultural producers, and many rural development schemes are also focused on this climate change combating. Okay, then what are the climate specific schemes? See, the National Innovation on Climate Resilience, and National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture, National Adaptation Fund, National and State Action Plan on Climate Change. These are the schemes particularly focused on climate change. And I also say some of the case studies of positive things as well as negative things. First, the case study of Ghana, okay, a South African country, an African country where the hunger as well as the monsoon are very less. So hunger is in a higher range, but monsoon is very less. Here, most of the agriculture are conducted by women, but they don't possess the land. The land are under the control of men. So they give temporary permission for the women to cultivate in their land so that they can feed their family. But with reduced monsoon, the availability and viability of agriculture is getting reduced. That even increases the hunger issues in Ghana. So this is one of the negative case study. And other one is in India with its Himalayan glaciers. With increasing climate, the glaciers are melting in an enormous speed. Okay, that results in water scarcity, as well as the people who are living in the downstreams of these rivers are affected. So this is another negative case study. And one more case study is regarding Thailand. Okay, so Thailand is known for its juicy mangoes and sticky rice. But the problem here is with increasing climate changes, this mangoes are infected by new types of insects, and this rice is infected by new types of fungal infections. So that actually reduces the export of these items from 50% to 20%. So this is all the negative case studies. So what they have suggested is we have to reduce the nitrogen content fertilizers that actually releases nitrous oxide, which is a potent greenhouse gas. And we also have some feed additives for cattle with less methane, so that releases less number of methane. So better example is a country called Brazil, which has a well sophisticated and managed milching techniques and ranching techniques, where they produce more number of beefs compared to other unregulated areas. Hence, their technology must be used to produce more amount of beef in a less amount of area, so that it can balance the demand for food as well as reducing the carbon footprints. Okay. Now, to the conclusion, what we have to say is no degree of warming is safe. Even a 0.1 degree of warming is not safe for the world. So hence, the climate change doesn't focus on the cars or the factories which must be cleaner. We need efficient cows and efficient wheat fields, which we can take it to agriculture. So these are essential for a climate combating world, and we should not think of before during and after crisis. The help must be continuous. Hence, the climate resilient work must be a continuous process, not a segregated one. Okay, so with this, I conclude today's topic. So please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thank you.